program. I'm Sean Banks. I'm a partner at TTV Capital, and I'm fortunate enough to be the chairman of TAG's FinTech Society, and I really am excited to see so many folks here today. One of the initiatives that we launched with TAG FinTech 7 years ago was an attempt to bring light to the deep roots of financial technology innovation here in the state of Georgia. And one way to do that was creating a Lifetime Achievement Award. And over the past 6 TAG FinTech events, we've awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award to the likes of Jimmy Blanchard from Synovus, Pete Kite from CheckFree, Paul Garcia from Global Payments, Pam Joseph from Elevon, Phil Tomlinson from TSYS, and Brooke Smith from Incon. And in each one of those opportunities, we got to hear from the recipient. Unfortunately, today, we're awarding the Lifetime Achievement Award posthumously to Stephen Johnson. And we're fortunate enough to have his widow, Julie, his daughter, Liz, son, Chris, here to represent him. And Stephen was a true innovator in the financial services sector. A lot of folks know him having started the first internet-only bank, which was NetBank. If you recall back in, I guess, late 90s, really, when you were able to start taking your checks to UPS to have remote deposit capture at a UPS, that was one of Stephen's. Directo, which was one of the very first debit cards, but Julie shared a very interesting story with me before earlier this morning. And one of the innovations Steve was very prominent in and starting to get pushed in Atlanta was the adoption of the ATM. So he was somebody who was in charge of rolling out the ATM product for Trust Company Bank. And for those of you who have been around Atlanta for a long time, you remember they were the I've got a bank, it suits me to a T Trust Company group. Anyway, so many people, though, back when the ATM was starting to become prevalent, were still just intimidated by the use and adoption of technology as it came to financial services. So he literally had to sit on Peachtree Street in Buckhead and hand out ice cream in order to coax people to start adopting really one of the big first financial technologies. So that kind of spirit is where we got today, where we're now the hub of all this financial technology. So I'd like to invite Larry Williams back on stage with me here, and we're going to present the 7th annual FinTech Hall of Fame Lifetime Achievement Award to Stephen Johnson. Thank you. Come on, Chris.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations, Chris. Thank you.
Hello, and thank you, Sean, for that introduction. Larry, for the presentation of the award. Our family is thrilled to be here, accepting this great honor on behalf of my late father, Steve. I'd, of course, like to thank TAG FinTech, especially Susan O'Dwyer for nominating Steve for the award, for the rest of the board for allowing this to happen, and also to Derek Howard for helping coordinate with our family for this event. I was told I have a second to speak, and so I'll make it brief, but I did want to say a few things about my father. When I look at the other prestigious names from Georgia on the list of the past inductees, I see many innovators, not only people who created businesses, but people who created categories. And my father was no exception to this. I think everybody here can probably relate. They know somebody like my dad, somebody who they can talk to that has 1,000 ideas. They just roll them off every single day of how they can make the world a better place. And probably 999 of them are really bad. You just say, man, I don't know where you come up with this stuff, but it's not gonna ever work. But 1 out of every 1,000, man, those stick. And that's what made people like Steve special. And you know, one of those ideas that kind of jumps off the page to me And the thing that he was most proud of came in 1996, and that was with NetBank. So in 96, my father came up, along with his associates, he had this crazy idea of creating an internet-only bank, later to be called NetBank. But I know a lot of bankers. I saw a few of them in the audience, and I know a lot of bankers around the Southeast that think internet-only is actually still an innovative idea. But way back in 1996, that was truly unheard of. And, you had to think, how would somebody deposit a check if they had nowhere to go? How would somebody get a loan without walking into a bank branch? This was decades before the lending clubs of the world. These were pretty serious questions that had to be answered in order for this to come to fruition. Now, some of those in the audience today might have known my dad, but for those of you who didn't, allow me to paint a picture for the exact person who has just been inducted to the TAG FinTech Hall of Fame. My dad probably owned 20 to 30 computers in his lifetime. Every time he couldn't figure out how to turn one on, he went to the store and got a new one. Every time he was locked out of Windows, he called 411 first, for those that remember 411. Got the number to the local Geek Squad, went over there and said, "Hey, I forgot my password." He would find these articles online from newspapers, and he would literally print them out and walk across the hall and say, "Hey, Chris, will you look at this?" rather than email it to me. And so this is the person that is being inducted into a technology Hall of Fame. So that begs the question, why on earth was Steve Johnson elected into a technology Hall of Fame? How does someone who can't turn on a computer create an internet-only bank? Well, to me, that's simple. It takes someone that can think about the big picture. Someone who understands the strengths and weaknesses of not only themselves, but others. And someone who can think just big enough, but still understands where the limits are of innovation. Now, I come to this event every year. I love this event that TAG puts on. It's been here the last number of years. And I see all these promising up-and-coming startups that have just outdone themselves in the realm of technology. Well, with NetBank, it wasn't about having the best technology. It wasn't about having the best developers. That was truly about having the best understanding of how to use technology. Now, what good would it have been to create disruptive technology if the FDIC, if the state of Georgia, if the Federal Reserve said, you can't have a bank charter? Well, NetBank would have been dead in the water. And so, you have to think about, as innovators, not only how to create the latest and greatest, but how to work with what is currently available to our time. Now, we have a table of friends and family here to accept this award, not only with me, but our whole family's behalf. I want to acknowledge them, but we're very proud of my father's accomplishments. We thank everyone here for listening to us. We thank TAG FinTech for inviting us and allowing me to say a few words. Thank you.